An easy-lift electronic dumbwaiter system can make that chore a thing of the past.
This is a milk door, so what the milkman would do would...
That is for your telephone book.
Let's take a trip down memory lane to much simpler times when windows served as air conditioning, icy shelves functioned as refrigerators, and life was a lot more simple. These are 20 old home features that have faded into history. But before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
I wonder if these people want to get rid of their coal chute. I need one.
Back in the days when electricity was completely non-existent, coal chutes were an essential part of the structures of many elite homes. The chutes were incorporated into the foundational wall and were usually made of metal with door hinges. When unlocked, the angled metal door opened into a tunnel that allowed coal trucks to dump weekly coal into the tunnel, which led to a storage room in the basement, usually right next to the furnace that kept the house warm. The walls of the coal rooms were black from the coal inflows, but not every home had the privilege of a chute. Chutes were only afforded by the upper class. Houses without chutes had their coal delivered in a wheelbarrow or bags by coal sellers known as lumpers. And while coal chutes were for the well-to-do, other wealthier homes had a device in their basement known as the Riley stoker. The tool directly transferred the stored coal into the furnace without the need to manually shovel it in. In the late 19th century, an American inventor from New York designed a home feature that became the latest innovation of its time and even made its way into many Hollywood movies that are remembered for their spine-chilling scenes. The home feature was called the dumbwaiter. So, what are they? Dumbwaiters were small elevators that carried things from one floor to another, and they have multiple stories. For instance, the kitchen could carry food, laundry, and other items to various floors and vice versa. And the first generation of dumbwaiters was mechanical, and the sender had to manually pull on a lever till the freight got to its destination. With time, the electric motors were developed, and dumbwaiters could be programmed to take freight to its intended floor. They were intentionally designed to accommodate freight and not humans, as they were the only means of distributing cargo. Dumbwaiters were also used in hotels, restaurants, schools, and others, and their covert design provided a mystery about them, which made them a huge shock element in movies. They were featured in horror films like Annabelle Creation 2017, Spider Baby in 1967, and Pet Sematary in 2019. Today, they only seem to exist in ancient buildings that were used as monuments. Some clever home features of the past, which you'll likely not see anywhere, are milk doors. These doors existed in times when homeowners didn't have to go to the supermarket for a fresh supply of milk. Milk doors were very small doors that were made specially for the delivery of milk. In those days, long before refrigerators became popular, everyone got their milk fresh and daily. The milkman supplied milk to homes, but unlike some places where milk could be left on the porch, it wasn't the case. To ensure the safe delivery of milk to owners, it had to be delivered directly inside of insulated mini doors. The milkman would place the milk inside the small space and the owner would receive it inside the house, without the need to go outside, which was convenient, especially in bad weather. These milk doors were very important to avoid stolen property or stir up animal curiosity, and things changed after the arrival of electricity and the invention of the refrigerator. But the milk door remains a memorable feature in past homes that will never be forgotten. What old home feature is a fire hazard waiting to happen? Keep watching to find out.
You could buy ice boxes, same as you bought refrigerators. Now, they were made by...
How did people preserve their food before the invention of the electric refrigerator? They had something called an ice box. Almost every home owned an ice box, and it was rather effective. Ice boxes were household appliances that kept food nice and cold, designed like a closet with shelves. They first became popular in the 20th century. It was quite simple to use them since they didn't use electricity. All you had to do was place a huge block of ice at the top and allow the cold air to circulate inside of the closed closet. The walls and shelves were made of tin, zinc, and insulating materials to improve the chilling effect, and people would usually replace the ice block by purchasing more from an iceman, who, much like the milkman, supplied ice blocks to various homes. Because of its design, Perishable goods, condiments, and meals could be preserved for a significant amount of time without incorporating other methods. Radiator heaters were a necessary home feature that kept people warm in the cold seasons. Introduced in the 19th century, they were designed to use hot water to generate steam which would radiate to create warmth in the home. Unlike forced air systems, which came with significant noise, the radiator heaters were quiet. As far as aesthetics go, they add a rather vintage and ornate charm to the home, though the modern radiators are more stylish and fit in with the designs of contemporary homes. The problem with radiator heaters was that they took up significant amounts of space that could be allocated to furniture. They were also rather costly at that time and were replaced by central HVAC systems, which were much more versatile, easier to install and maintain. Remember the days when every door had a glass window right above it? These door windows were known as transom windows. In the old days, long before air conditioning and other systems were invented, these windows were necessary because they could be opened to allow ventilation without compromising on security and privacy. You didn't need to leave the door open for fresh air. All you had to do was slide the window open and allow in the air and light. They were usually high up and opened using tools known as transom operators. The windows brought elegance and class and were quite functional, and after several years they were slowly disappearing with the introduction of new and more appealing architectural trends. During the 19th and 20th centuries, designs were quite different. In most homes, there was usually a space between the dining table and the kitchen. These small and organized spaces were called the butler's pantry. This feature was available in large and well-to-do families that could afford the services of a butler. The special area held great significance in the past and was a buffer space where meals were served and organized before being carried off to the dining table. It was a place where kitchen utensils such as silverware, plates, and china were arranged like trophies on shelves. Also used for small kitchen-related tasks like cleaning the plates, polishing the silverware, and counting inventory to ensure that they were always complete. If the pantry was spacious enough, the butler would sleep in it, turning it into a small room while serving as a guard to the precious silverware and other collectibles. In today's home, the concept of a butler pantry is foreign and unnecessary. The 18th century came with new exquisite architectural designs. A prominent element in the home features of this era were formal parlors. These formal parlors were a central room in the house where families could display their most prized assets, awards, classy furniture, enlarged pictures, and more. Visitors were received and entertained in this room. Some may call it the most important room in the house, as it was usually adorned with all kinds of interior designs. The formal parlor was like a venue for all kinds of celebrations like birthdays, dinners, Christmas get-togethers, Thanksgiving, and others. And when these parlors were not in use, it was usually locked and kept clean and spotless, in anticipation of a future event. A typical parlor had chairs, tables, sofas, piano, or record players for musical entertainment. And as time went by, the parlor began to evolve into smaller spaces with carpet, a TV, and other things. It soon became what's referred to today as a living room. Even though it was not exactly a home feature, the clothesline was still a part of the home environment that contributed just as much as any other thing. Clotheslines were used in simpler times to dry laundry the natural way, by exposing wet clothing to fresh air and sunlight while sitting in an array of colors on a tight rope by two poles. This was before the washing and drying machine was conceived, and many homes still preferred clotheslines because they're economical, accommodate a large number of clothes at a time depending on the length of the line. And they were also eco-friendly. Not to mention they're gentle on fabrics and are hardly used in advanced communities and specific areas because of convenience, adequate outdoor space, and restrictions for aesthetic reasons. In some areas with harsh weather conditions like extreme cold and rain, clotheslines may not be practical, not to mention the safety of clothing due to theft. These colorful wall decor are called wallpaper borders. They became popular in the 20th century and lit up every wall with a burst of color. The decorative strips created visual appeal and were typically used around the perimeter of a room, either along the ceiling, the doors, or the windows. Borders could be used in kitchens, bathrooms, bedrooms, and everywhere. They usually came in themes like floral strips, children's themes, country motifs, and more. They were affordable, more than painting, and were mostly a DIY project for homeowners because of the ease of installation. The borders declined in popularity as interior design trends shifted to a more modern and minimalist look with neutral colors and simple decor. Telephone niches were an architectural genius in the 20th century, especially from the 20s to the 40s. Small reserved areas, usually located in the hall or a central part of the home. The mini grotto was designed to hold the home telephone, with a small shelf where the phone book was kept for taking notes, and it was easily accessible and featured decorative elements like shelves, moldings, arches, and more. The essence of a phone niche was to provide a dedicated space that held the phone away from any other distraction. It was more like a hallowed position. As aesthetically pleasing as the telephone niche was, it had to give way to technological advancements. The introduction of cordless phones in the 1980s and the adoption of mobile phones in the 90s made the telephone niche obsolete. These outdoor living spaces are known as sitting porches. Made popular in the 19th century, they were usually outdoors, either at the front or behind the house. They were designed for socialization and relaxing, and neighbors would often gather at sitting porches for a nice cup of tea and a relaxing conversation in the morning or evening, making it a great spot to sit and soak in the serenity of the environment and nature at its finest. Sitting porches were loved for their versatility in hosting small gatherings for a little morning coffee and their architectural appeal. They began their decline when lifestyles began to evolve and urbanization came with a need for privacy. The advent of air conditioning saw more people going indoors rather than spending outside in the soothing breeze. Service entrances were a common thing in the late 19th and early 20th century, especially in large affluent homes and buildings. They were separate doors to the building which stood out from the main entrance because they were mostly used by the household staff, like maids, cleaners, delivery people, and more. In this era, there was a clear distinction in the social hierarchy, and staff were separated from the family's private space, creating social boundaries. Service spaces were necessary because they allowed staff to gain access to places in the home where the functions were limited without being in the family's personal space. They also provided security and privacy by ensuring that worker activities were directed away from the main living area. Staff could freely perform duties like laundry, kitchen, cleaning, refuse disposal, and more without disturbing the household guests. Furthermore, the main entrance remained clean and spotless because of minimal use, and all the dirt and debris that came with human activity was directed at the side. Built-in ironing boards were popularized in the early 20th century. They're hideable ironing spaces that were built into the wall of a kitchen or a corridor. They became the norm in an era where practicality was a high priority when building homes, and every detail was considered in the structural design. It was usually a cabinet on the wall where the length of the ironing board could retract vertically and disappear out of sight when you close the cabinet. It didn't require any extra space in the house and wasn't in the way all the time. When in use, they stood firmly and were very sturdy, adjustable in some cases to suit the needs of the user, and came in different dimensions. The idea of maximizing space and creating convenience was deeply rooted in construction, exemplifying a mid-century mindset. As homes began to expand and architectural preferences evolved, the built-in ironing board phased out, giving rise to portable options that could be assembled and disassembled in a matter of moments. Built-in ironing boards are rarely seen today, but are not completely extinct. It still stands as an innovative and timeless design that seamlessly integrates everyday activities into the structure of the home. They remain hidden in cupboards, beds, cabinets, and any other space, especially in homes where space isn't afforded. A quick ironing fix without the need for a lengthy setup. Root cellars have been used for many years, especially in rural areas, for the storage of food like vegetables, fruits, and other perishables. These root cellars were designed to keep food at optimum temperature, thereby extending the shelf life for a very long time. The importance of a root cellar goes back to the days of farming when they needed to harvest and store food for the winter. The settlers took advantage of insulating properties of the earth to maintain cool temperatures that preserved food like potatoes, carrots, and vegetables. And the fact that they were also partially underground also improved the cold temperatures. The walls were usually thick with some ventilation to regulate the temperature and humidity, and it's needless to say that refrigerators and urbanization made them obsolete. Root cellars may still be used by those who prefer to live off the grid without the hassles of paying electric bills and acquiring properties like refrigerators and the like. Picture rails were a way of hanging pictures on the walls. This interior design emanated in the 19th and 20th centuries when the concept of interior design was still in its experimental phase. They were stylish, convenient, and safe, and were a long line of material that ran across the ceiling on all sides, providing a platform for hooks that would hold the pictures. This was common understanding that nailing pictures into the wall was a bad idea because it created holes and dents which would require fixing whenever you decided to move the position of the picture. So, to avert wrecking the walls, picture rails were hung from the ceiling, providing a more visually appealing look that left no damage to the interior. Picture rails were practical and even came with decorative elements that converted them into a scenic view. It was a way to combine style with functionality and even had secondary innovations that could be derived from decorations. Today, there are much more easy and stylish ways to put up pictures and decorative elements on the wall, ranging from magnets to other more convenient ideas. In the early 1900s, linoleum flooring became a popular choice because of its sturdiness, affordability, and aesthetics. Its patterns mirrored style and class, with most people choosing them for their easy maintenance and durability. It marked an innovative phase in interior decoration and a breakthrough in floor design. Some of their most lovable features were water resistance and ease of cleaning compared to other flooring designs in its class. It started as a flooring choice for the most elite and slowly became average when vinyl and other elements were invented. It's pretty rare today to see linoleum flooring, but it will remain a nostalgic memory of the charms of old flooring design. One distinctive home decor you'll probably encounter if you visit certain homes in the mid-20th century were glass doorknobs. These intricate crystal-like designs add a touch of panache and sophistication to your home. The doorknobs were clear-cut shapes resembling crystals, gracefully caught in reflecting light. They were favored for their beauty, durability, and affordability, and while the clear glass was most popular, there were also other colors providing options for homeowners. Despite the decline of glass doors in mainstream use, there's been a resurgence in recent years, and those who love the vintage look of glass doorknobs can always acquire them to add a touch of classic elegance to their home. The sliding feature of pocket doors brings back nostalgic memories with its unobtrusive and sleek look. Instead of swinging open like every other door, the pocket door simply slides inside its compartment hidden within the walls, saving space while maintaining sturdiness. The beauty of the pocket doors lies in their functionality, creating flexible living spaces. They were more popular in the Victorian era, where homes were designed in a compartmentalized layout. As time went by, many modern alternatives were introduced into the market, while the old version of pocket doors faded into the background. However, they're still highly favored in many Asian regions. The new versions are made of glass, and some are even automated, giving rise to advanced styles that improve the experience of having them. In the streets and homes of the 19th century, one connecting feature you'll find is the gas lighting lamp. Popular in the early 19th century, this source of light used natural gas and sometimes coal. It was usually linked to a central supply that was ignited manually by workers called lamplighters, although later designs became self-ignited. The glass globes protected the flame from being extinguished and helped to diffuse the light. Gas lighting was used both indoors and in rooms, outdoors in streets and parks and public areas. It did pose a fire hazard with the possibility of explosion and carbon monoxide poisoning, and became more dangerous in a poorly ventilated room. With these safety concerns, it's no surprise why gas lighting was substituted for more advanced and safer forms. Structures are now merely ancient relics, reminding us of a nostalgic post-World War era. That's all we have for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss another great memory in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.